The day it hit me, I was at the Super Shots clinic. And when I was at the clinic getting free shots, my wife's like, hey, we'll just take them to the doctor. I'm like, honey, that's $300 a shot. This is free. We need the free stuff. I remember being at the clinic, Ken, the lady asked me, what company do you work for? And I told her my real estate company. She's like, I've never heard of that. I'm like, not my problem, lady. I'm just here to get free shots. She thought I was a doctor. And really, I was just a person on welfare trying to get free shots for my kid. And that was the moment in which the world's perceiving you as this for some reason, but the reality is you are not operating within your talents and your abilities. And that was like the shock and awe moment for
me. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of As the Leader Grows. I am your host, Ken Joslin. I got a treat for you today, ladies and gentlemen. I've got my good friend, Austin Cheviron. This guy runs one of the top coaching organizations for real estate agents in America. Not only is he a coach of real estate agents, but he also is one of the top real estate agents in the country and in the Midwest. Austin, good to see you, my friend.
Thank you, Ken. Love hanging out with you here again.
Hey, do me a favor, take a minute real quick and just tell our audience a little bit about you.
Okay. Quick story. I'm 40 years old, married 17 years, 2 kids, 14 and 11. So that's the cornerstone of everything I do. Everything's based around my faith and my family. So I want to start with that. I think what's good for the audience to know is since I was 6, I've been surrounded by real estate agents because my father's been a real estate agent. So that's 85% of my life has been around real estate agents. So when we get into why I do what I do, it's a lot because of my childhood and what I've learned and the people I've been around. So I was licensed at 20. So for 20 years, I've been licensed. At 28, I was on welfare. At 32, I was one of the top agents in the state of Indiana. At 33, I started training and coaching real estate agents once people figured out, like I had an idea what I was doing, which is pretty cool. 36, ran one of the top teams in the country, and we are just all in with impact now.
That's I love it. So talk to me about this. There's a lot of transitions in that story. 28 years old and on welfare.
Yep.
Like, take me back to 28-year-old Austin. What was that journey and that season in your life like?
No vision, living day to day, no goals, no faith. Faith has always been my faith right now is beautiful. It guides me. It helps me. That I don't even have to make decisions because the decision's already made.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no decisions. But back then, it was like a little seed. I had all these little seeds inside of me that needed to bloom. And it wasn't until I had my second kid, and I remember telling my wife that, hey, we're going to collect welfare on this one. And that was like the wake up moment. So I would say the biggest thing was a lack of vision, a lack of guidance, a lack of spiritual faith. I wasn't a bad person by any means. I was trying to do well. I lacked a vision.
So what was what in that change? Like, where did the vision come from? What was the aha moment, light bulb moment that got you from, hey, we're going to do welfare with our second kid to 3 years later, 4 years later, you're one of the top real estate guys in the whole state of Indiana?
The day it hit me, I was at the Super Shots clinic. I actually drove past. I was going to a funeral on Monday. I drove past the clinic and I took a picture of it. And Dad goes, hey, there's your clinic, because he listens to everything I do. And when I was at the clinic getting free shots, my wife's like, hey, we'll just take them to the doctor. I'm like, honey, that's $300 a shot. This is free. We need the free stuff. I remember being at the clinic, Ken, and the lady asked me where I worked. She's like, what company do you work for? And I told her my real estate company. She's like, I've never heard of that. I'm like, not my problem, lady. I'm just here to get free shots.
Yeah.
She thought I was a doctor. And really, I was just a person on welfare trying to get free shots for my kid. And that was the moment in which it's like, hey, the world's perceiving you as this for some reason, but the reality is you are not operating within your talents and your abilities. And that was like the shock and awe moment for me. It's like, this has got to turn.
What were some of the steps you took after that? Like, you leave there, what were some of the things that were going through your mind? What were some of the first steps you did to be able to get out of where you were?
The first thing is I found a mentoring guide. Well, let me back up. The first thing is I needed a vision. So I realize what I do now is I train people on how I do and did what I did. That's my whole life now. And so I have to go back and refigure it out. And for anybody that doesn't journal, I'll say this, like the only reason I was able to do this is because I write down every day my thoughts.
Yeah.
And so I could go back through my thoughts, Ken, and say, how did I do this? And it was 3 things I found. 1, I had a vision. 2, I created a system and process that I operated off of. And 3, I had a guide. I had a mentor. And those were the 3 things that I found that made me become who I am. A vision, which was when my son graduates high school, I got to be financially free. I got to be free of time and free of location. I'm very clear on that. Yeah, those were the 3. Hey, I'm here today. I got 17 years to get there.
So give me a little bit about the first mentor. How'd you find them? How did that come about? Were they hesitant? Did they look at you and go, nah, bro? Or did they see in you what the people at the Free Shot Clinic saw in you? So
my first mentor I didn't meet and talk to for realistically 9 years after I had it. So my mentor his name was Brian Buffini. He was in the real estate business. I studied him. I watched him. And I never got to even talk to him until probably.
So you're saying your first mentor wasn't somebody you even knew. You didn't have his phone number.
No.
This was somebody, a podcast, an email list.
Bingo.
You're just devouring content. Listen, guys, if you hear anything today, you don't need to know a John Maxwell or a Brian Buffini or a Brendan Burchard or a Ken Joslin or an Austin Cheviron. You just need to get in their orbit, and their content and their spirit and the things that they're giving you will help you turn that around. Yeah. Talk to me about Brian Buffini. Like, when in the process of kind of in his content and doing what you're doing, did you go, I'm a different dude?
Yeah. So here's what I found. It wasn't just about business. It was about life. And for me, what I found by working with real estate agents my whole life is if you just focus on your business, your life's shallow. Business is just a small piece of life. Really not even, it's a way for impact, but so small, Ken. And so he focused more on life, and it's like, okay, well, if I can fix me, then I can fix the business. And so that was one thing I appreciated about him as a mentor. It was more than just business, because I needed that for me. I needed to become the man. I needed help with my vision and my goals and what's important and my financials and what I found is when I got me right, the business was easy.
It's unbelievable. You know, we just finished our elite mastermind here in Atlanta. I had 72 very high performing faith-based entrepreneurs. And I just had lunch. I just had breakfast with Eric Weir today. Eric funds all the top golf builds. He's got his own hedge fund. He funded Facing the Giants, War Room movie, like all those Christian movies he funded all those things. He's funded a ton in Hollywood. He's funded a lot of country music singers at the very beginning, NASCAR, I mean, all kinds of stuff this guy's done. And our conversation today, you know what he said? He goes, I said, give me your takeaway from being there this weekend. He spoke during the business section, but I said, give me your takeaway. And I wrote it in my notes right here. He said, this is what he told me today. He said, Ken, he goes, faith was integrated throughout everything you talked about. It just wasn't about faith, health, relationships, business, and finances. And it wasn't one of those things where you came and you talked about business and you prayed over your dinner. Faith was woven through when you talked about business. Faith was woven through when you talked about health, when you talked about relationships, when you talked about finances. It was an integral part of all of those things. So Brian Buffini, and that took you from what to what? At what point in that journey for you, Austin, was the first person that you were like, this guy's coaching? This guy is my coach. He is my mentor. That was somebody that wasn't just somebody that was at a distance that you were just consuming content.
Okay, so is actually one of my clients became my mentor, and because I was seeking a spiritual mentor that year. And just so happened, I remember I sat down at this guy's house and he said, Austin, your sales pitch is good, your listing presentation, but on average you sell a house in 7 days. And I think mine's going to take 7 years to sell because it's just so unique. It's already been on the market 2 years. And he goes, why would someone like you want to take this property? And so I try to study people before I interact with them. I've learned that's a good thing to do. Like, I read your book before, in honor of you and our conversation, our time. I read your book before I came here. And so I studied this guy, and what I did is I wrote down a date on a piece of paper. Ken, when he asked me, he goes, "Why would you want to take this listing?" I wrote down a date, I slid it over to him. And his wife goes, "What's this?" And he looks at it, he goes, "Hang on, honey, I think I know what this is." And he goes to his office and he comes out with the plaque. And the plaque was the mayor of that city named a day after him. A whole day because of who this man was. Well, long story short, I ended up selling his house in about a year and a half. And it was a sad day after that year and a half. In that time, he taught me how to become a great man of faith. He took the seed within me and helped it blossom. So I would give that man a lot of credit. I actually, when we got his listing, when I got the offer on his house, I didn't want to sell it. Yeah. Because I talked to him every week for a year and a half. Because that was what I did. I call you every Friday, and we had a great conversation. It was never about selling his house. Yeah. It was about him as a man stewarding me as a younger man and making sure that my decisions were in alignment with what was important.
I love how you said, and he recognized it. It wasn't about selling the house. It was about. So, do you still have a relationship with the guy today?
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course.
And when he sees you today, what kind of fulfillment do you think he experiences?
It reminds me of a book called The Acres of Diamonds, which is we're always looking for something, and it's already there. You know, I was looking for a spiritual mentor at that time, and it was there within my listing. I didn't even have to go anywhere. It was already there, Ken. And so the book Acres of Diamonds is about a guy who wanted to become, he wanted the fulfillment of riches. So he sold his property and moved out to the, I think, San Francisco area to search for gold. And his land had the highest reserves of jewels and gems on it ever. And the theory is the concept, if I can just seek with what I have within me and the people around me, I have everything I need. And so stop not looking for a Ken. Ken's right here in my corner. Why am I looking for someone else? He's right here. Why don't I just utilize the people that God's given me in my life compared to searching for new people? It's like that was a beautiful thing that I had a realization of.
So good. I just looked the book up on Audible, so I just got it. So I've got about 3 or 4 ahead of it, but I will definitely put it in there. Yeah. So you're 28 years old and you're on welfare. You're going to get free shots for your kids. 32, I think you said you were one of the top real estate agents in the state of Indiana.
Yeah. Closed 88 homes that year.
Talk to me about what 32-year-old Austin would have said to 28-year-old Austin.
It's funny. It goes back to the Acres of Diamonds, which is it'd say, "Hey kid, you have everything you need within you. It's all there. You just have to do better with what's been given to you." It goes back to the parable in the Bible. It's here for you. I'm giving it to you. How well are you using your talents? And if you're not using them, I will take them away from you and give them to someone else who will use them. And so that moment at 32, looking back on 28, it's like you have what you need. You just need to go become with what's inside of you. And it's still the same today at 40 for me, Ken. Like, I'm just trying to use what I have to the best of my ability. And who do I need to surround myself with, and what needs to be pulled out of me, and what type of accountability, and how do I handle my money that comes in with the seed? It's essentially seed. How do I handle that seed properly? Knowing that my money is seed, my decisions are seed. And how do I properly do that so I can keep growing and becoming?
I love that. Yeah. I love that. Isn't it amazing just in a 3 to 4 year span of time, how you can go from being the person that you were to, man, your confidence at 32 had to have been unbelievable.
Part of it's imposter syndrome that a lot of us deal with, which is like, when I started coaching and training right after that, I'm like, do I actually know what I'm doing? Like, and who am I to train these people on what I think I might know? If it works for me, how do I know it will work for someone else? But then it comes back down to there's an obligation. It's not what do I want to do. It's you have an obligation to pass this message, pass what's working and pass what's not. And once I change the lens, Ken, of it's not what I want to do and how fearful I am and what will they think, good or bad. Now it's an obligation. And so that obligation helps me fight through all the stuff in my head.
I love that, man. So 32 years old, you're one of the top real estate guys in the state. You said you closed 88 deals. If you know anything about real estate, that's unbelievable. 88 deals. Tell me what the journey was like from 32 to like now. What were some of the highlights in that journey? And not just highlights as in successes, but what were some of the things you faced, some of the roadblocks or some of the things, the decisions that you made that just continued to help you grow along the journey?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I knew wasn't success to me was selling a bunch of homes and working a bunch of hours, because I've seen that my whole life and I knew that wasn't success. So what a lot of people don't know, they might see my stats on how many homes I closed, and I ran a business by referral. So this wasn't like bought business. This was all earned business by customer service, which makes it even more of gold. What people don't know is I averaged 38 and a half hours a week that year working.
Wow.
Okay. And that to me is more valuable than the 88. And I only know that because I tracked my hours every day that I can. I just clocked in and clocked out like a normal human being does at work. I did that to myself because I knew I wanted this success, this impact, but I wasn't willing to risk my family for it. Yeah. And so I had to track it and monitor it, no differently than food or anything else you do in life. Like you want to lose weight, you got to track your food and see what you're eating and how much. It's simple stuff.
Yes, you do.
And so that was a good realization that I not only won, I won twice. I won in my family and I won in business. And most people at best, they win once, which is in business, but they lose everything else along the way, their family, their health, their spiritual life, their finances. And it's like, that's not really winning at all.
That's why we talk about our core five, which is faith, health, relationship, business, and finances. And people are like, well, shouldn't business and finance be first? No. If your faith, your health, and your relationships are out of alignment, one of two things always happen. Number one, you're either an ass and nobody wants to spend time with you, and you've got a business and you've got this money, but you're alone, or because your foundation is out of alignment, you lose the business and the finances that you worked so hard to create because you're not the man that you or the woman that you need to be. You don't have the foundation that's solid enough for you to build something of that magnitude.
Yeah. When I hear you say that, what I want people to understand is like, you can't take away from me what I have. It's not possible. Like you might think of business or money. I can get that. That's the easy stuff. That's easy. Yeah. You can't take away from me. Like I can only take it away from myself, or a God can take it away. But you can't take it away. There's no business thing that I can't go build. That's the easy part. So I have.
Why do you think entrepreneurs miss that? Why do you think that they think that like that's the thing?
Okay, so let's go back to, I think it's 80+% of entrepreneurs fail in the first handful of years. And so the reason they fail is normally cash flow management. I would say it's not a lack of cash, it's cash flow management. Yes, money might be tight, but when you spend it all, no matter how much you have, it's always tight.
You're right. Because normally what happens is as you make more money, you just start adding more to your outflow, to your bills.
Yep. So I'm actually we're in the process of finishing up our wealth program right now. And what was interesting, I sat in a closet. I call it a closet. I sat in a bedroom for 60 days, which I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm a go-getter. It's hard to slow me down.
Yeah.
And for 60 days, I sat and I wrote everything I knew in my head about money, everything. What was the purpose of it and how did I think about it? And after day 30, I had this realization of, oh my gosh, I don't know if my program's going to work. And the reason why is there wasn't one thing about making money in the program. And I called everybody up. I go, I think we have a problem. They're like, what's that? I go, I don't know if this is a good program. They're like, why? I go, because it's not about making money. It was about your awareness of money and having a vision of it. And what does it do for you? What does it do for others? And then how do you manage it? It was never about making it. I use this example right here. This is just so happened to be on my desk, Ken. So you ask, why do people have problems with cash flow management? Okay. Or just money in general. And when you get into business, everybody's teaching you how to make money, right?
Yeah.
Hey, if in real estate, for example, hey, you need to hit the for sale by owners, you need to hit the leads, you need to hit the open houses, you need to work your sphere. Imagine this is the bucket of life. This is a great example. Here's your bucket of life. And everybody's telling you how to put more water in your bucket. Do you know what the problem is with putting water in this bucket?
It's got holes in it, man.
It's never gonna fill. And so what are they training you to do? They're training you on how to put more water in this bucket, Ken. The problem is putting more water in the bucket takes it away from myself and my family and all these things. But at the end of 10, 20, 30 years, this bucket will never have water in it, ever. No matter how much I put in it. I can die trying. If this bucket will never have water in it because it has too many holes. And he asked what I've worked on filling the holes in my bucket and putting the water in at the same time. But I knew if I didn't fix the holes, there would never be any water. And water is what truly gives me the fulfillment. I can give water to Ken if Ken needs it. I can water myself. I have this. My mindset is now of abundance and not scarcity. And you start working in that world, things change quickly.
At what point did you realize I don't have, the old Austin isn't there anymore? I don't have a scarcity mindset. Now I have an abundance mindset.
I learned it. So one of my other mentors was Tony Robbins. So,
Yeah, love Tony.
Love Tony. Tony taught me giving. The secret to living is giving. Okay. I did a lot of things right financially, mindset, and business, but it wasn't until I started giving my money away that I changed my mindset from scarcity to abundance. It was when I was willing to give is when it changed.
It's good.
So our wealth program is 22 modules. Our 22nd module is giving. Our 21st at the very end is inheritance. And then it ends with giving. After I filmed the giving module, I left. I went to Kroger, a grocery store around here. And then when I left, there was a homeless guy on the corner. And the first thing that went through my mind is I have a 5 on me and 100. Okay? I normally always keep 100 behind my phone. Like he always, it says emergency money. And so I go pull my wallet out. I thought I had a 5 and I had 100 on. I didn't have any money. And I knew I just had 100. I'm like, this is all the money I have.
Yeah.
I have no more cash. And then that's a natural thought. The reason I'm saying this, that's a natural human thought. This is all I have. It's scarcity. And then thank God I had trained myself an hour before that. So even the guy that trains on it needs to be taught and reminded. And I held out, I opened up my window. I said, hey guy, I got some money here for you. And he was an older guy. He had a walker, barely could move. And I told him, I go, you might want to get up for this. And I said, I got 100 for you. He goes, you got 100 for me? And here's what when I gave that money to him, I didn't have any more cash on me. I didn't have any more cash at home either at the time. Like that was my last 100.
Yeah.
But what it did for my heart and who I was as a human being, far worth any more money, knowing that I can go earn another 100.
Bro, I tell people all the time, it's important for you. I heard T.D. Jakes say this 20 years ago. He said, I've never seen water flow through a pipe and the pipe not get wet. God wants you to, and I'm not talking about operating abundance so you can buy another car or another watch or a Lambo or a boat. And there's nothing wrong with all those things. But that can't be the ends to the means or means to the end. Like there has to be purpose in that. Part of that purpose is to be able to bless people when God says, bless this person. When God says, give them that 100. Some of my greatest stories ever, one of them was at Waffle House 20 years ago. I'd just come off of a Daniel fast for 40 days. And I'm with a bunch of my students and we're at a Waffle House. And I literally was 2 months out of my wife and I at the time she was a little bit over 6 months pregnant with twin sons, and we lost them during the pregnancy. We lost twin sons. And I had my 28-year-old and my 25-year-old now. It was right in between them. And that happened 2 months later. I'm at this student camp breaking my Daniel fast, no meats, no sweets, no breads at Waffle House. I don't recommend it to anybody in the world. But anyway, the waitress comes up, and I had a $100 bill. And I heard the Holy Spirit go, give her the 100. My bill was like $8, $9. And I handed her the $100, and I said, God told me to tell you to keep the change. And Austin, dude, the same way. She started to weep. She says, sir, I don't know you, but I was in the back just a little while ago. I've got an electric bill in the morning that has to be paid by 9 a.m. It's 60 some odd dollars. And if I don't pay it, they're going to turn my power off. And I just lost my baby 2 months ago. And bro, I was able to not only meet that need for her, but then share with her what happened in my life, how we had lost our sons. And I was able to pray for her, and she received Christ right there in Waffle House. Because I had the financial means to be able to, for when God spoke, I had the financial means to be able to take care of it.
You had faith.
Yeah.
That's faith. I was
Huge, man.
I was working with the lady today, and I was telling her, you'll never have enough money in your mind to give the way you live. So the only thing I can advise you to do is to give away 1%. And I explained to her, there's a fruit that we always eat the seeds out of. And I use this fruit in my speaking engagements and the training, which is a banana. Okay? And a banana has seeds. Most people don't know that. And seeds are meant to be planted later for a later harvest. But when I train most business owners, I use the banana. It says, you got the banana is your commission check. It's your funds right now coming into your business. The problem is you keep eating the seeds out of the banana, and later you have nothing now to show for it. So what I need you to do is to take the seed out, and I promise you won't be any more hungry if you don't eat the seed. I promise you. You won't even know it's gone. And so the banana is the one fruit that I keep finding that I can train people on how they don't eat the seeds out of the apple. They get that. Yeah. Watermelon, we try to buy it without the seeds now, But the bananas, the little black seeds in those, we all eat them, but that's not what it's meant for. It's meant to be cut open and take the seeds out and plant them for a later harvest. And so I explained to her, just 1%. You won't even miss it. I promise you won't even miss it. Just do 1%. And that will change the person you are.
You've been like this journey every 3 to 4 years. It's just like another plateau, and it just God's going, okay, now do this. How do you get used to those kind of transitions in your life, or can you get used to those kind of transitions? I
don't think you get used to them. What you get used to is the ability to make that decision. You won't be used to what that decision's going to do to you and the people that are going to judge you for making that decision. Like we just shut down one of the top real estate teams in the country. Just literally just close shop. Okay? Why? Because where we're going, that's not in there anymore. I believe we started the real estate team to be able to figure out how to help people build something without spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month doing it, and how to make the team work for you compared to you having to work for it all the time. Okay. Once we knew what we needed to do, then we just needed to document it to go train others. We didn't need the team anymore. And so we just put we documented it, filmed it, produced it, put it into our coaching and training, and now I don't need the team. But people would say, well, Austin, why would you shut down one of the most successful, production per agent teams in the country? Well, it's not serving my life anymore, Ken.
So good.
And the purpose of a business is to support the lifestyle of the business owner. And this isn't what I need. My lifestyle is now to impact, and these 25 humans that I'm impacting is great, but now my message needs to get out to 25,000.
I had a guy on my stage at Create a year and a half ago, Kyle Carnahan. He runs Superhuman Fathers out of Southern California. He's in Orange County. He's a firefighter. Well, he steps on my stage. He's got like 18 guys in his Superhuman Fathers kind of men's mentorship group on stage with him. And he was standing there, and he's still in the firehouse. So him and I are having a conversation. We've got all these guys lined up on stage, and he was asking me, he goes, I'm really struggling on, He said, I'm really struggling on moving out of the firehouse because I love these 15 to 20 guys I get to make an impact on. And here's what I told him. I said, you can make an impact on 15 or 20, or you could step outside the fire department and go across the country and make an impact on 15 to 20,000.
Well, you still keep them. So you go from your,
Yes.
we talk about it. We go from the community, right? Right, Ken? We talk about the community, and then we go to the circle, and then we go to the corner.
You did read my book.
You not only read it, I took notes. That's exactly how I live my life too.
Come on, man.
Yeah. So that's what that is. Like, hey, we're taking these people, and we can keep them in our circle still, okay? But we got to grow this community, and that's important, I think, to know in life that as you grow, you have to understand how people flow in and out of your life. And one of my buddies, somebody I coach, great individual in life. He always says, hey, when you move through life and you have people move through your life, it doesn't always have to be a divorce. It can be a celebration. And then Ron, are you ever listened to Ron Carpenter by chance?
Oh yeah.
Oh, so Ron teaches me that, people are in your life and they come in like, I apologize, scaffolding. And when the building gets erected, which is you or me, we are the
gets
building,
taken down.
They take it down.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a death or a divorce.
Yeah.
It's a celebration that I don't need the scaffolding anymore, and that scaffolding moves over somewhere else in life. It's just God putting them somewhere else. And
I love that. It's just a season, reason, or a lifetime. Those are the three types of relationships. They're there for a season, a reason, or some people are there for a lifetime. So where you guys are at now, man, you've literally all these different levels of success from I'm on welfare to in 4 years, I'm the one of the top real estate agents closing 88 deals, to now I'm one of the number one teams and the number one of the top coaching organizations for agents, to we're going to shut the team down so I can focus on multiplication and not just the small. Talk to me about fulfillment for you now compared to just when Austin was, the Lone Ranger guy closing 88 deals a year on his own.
Let me come right back to that, Kenneth. I'm gonna do a two-part here. I think this is good for the audience to listen to. 2 years ago, we thought I had a stroke. Okay. The words weren't coming out of my mouth. I was walking slow, talking slow. And I went into the ER, and I just remember sitting there crying in the bed and just thinking, this is it for me. Like I'll never be able to do whatever I'm going to do again. And I thought, okay, well, that was a good run. I remember literally just crying, thinking that was a good run you had. You did what others couldn't in a short amount of time. Okay. And after a whole day in the ER, Ken, they said to me, I said, what's wrong with me? And they said, nothing. And I go, that's not possible. No, I didn't just spend $50,000 in a whole day in here for you to tell me that I'm a thoroughbred. And they go, you really want to know what's wrong with you, Austin? I go, yeah. They go, you have too much stress in your life. I go, what do you mean stress? They go, how many companies do you run? I go, 9. They go, see? I go, but they're all doing their thing. They're all great. And they go, how many houses do you own? I go, 50. They go, see? But I'm like, but I never see them. And what I realized, there's a difference between good stress and bad stress. And I've worked really hard in my life to get the bad stress out, but opportunity brings good stress too. And so when you talk about fulfillment, I'm very careful now not to put too much opportunity in so I can maximize the opportunity that I have, and to stop looking and to start just doing with what's here. And so fulfillment to me now is, I said once to somebody, I think I'm in my last job. I've worked through all these jobs. I think I'm in my last one. And they said, well, explain that. I go, now I can just give. And I can see myself being the guy reading the Bible on TV. You know how you always see the 70, 80-year-olds reading the Bible? Well, I'm pretty sure they don't get paid to do that. I'm guessing it's a free service. I just don't want to be 70 or 80. I want to be 45, 50.
Yeah.
Might hit another message. So now I'm in the impact phase. So what is fulfillment? I'm living out the actual ability to give all of my talents and abilities, and I'm really aware of what do I say yes to that takes me away from it. So if you ever want to get to excellence, you're going to have to say no to a bunch of things that are doing really good, maybe even providing you a financial freedom in your life. Like selling real estate, I was doing really good, Ken. And I stopped doing that. Everyone's like, why would you stop doing that? Well, there's a bigger vision for me in my life that will fulfill me even more.
I love that. You know, I had a mentor 25 years ago, took me to lunch. He was a board member at the church I was a part of. I was on staff at, and he told me, he said, Ken, never forget that vision comes cheap to a visionary. Your job is to figure out which vision to go after. And when you're a visionary, man, the ideas will come, and they'll come in waves. God, what do you have for me? What do you want me to go after? What is this? What does my life? And boy, there's an ebb and flow and transitions in your life as God takes you from one level to the next. Final question. What are you grateful for right now?
That's a good question. I would say, that's a really good question. I'm grateful that I have the ability or the lens that I'm mature enough to understand what I've been through in my life and how that has been a tool to help me to where I'm at today, and to look at it as all of signs, vision. I'm grateful that I can see my life as a tool now to help other people. And I can go through what I've experienced and not be necessarily emotionally connected to it, but spiritually connected to it, and understand that, there's a phrase of, what if the worst thing happening to you in life's actually the best? Like, I'm grateful that I can process that moment. I actually said that yesterday. I put a picture of my mother's gravesite, which she died when I was 16 in a plane accident with her fiance. And I put the picture of the tombstone on the grave. And I just said, this was the worst day of my life. And I'm very happy and grateful for that, because I've learned so much. And the other guy that died in that plane, his son posted a response to my question, which is, how could the worst thing be the best thing? And he said, I went to the diner in which my dad used to eat his deli sandwiches. I went there, and I only went there to remember my father. And I met my wife there the first time I went there. And he's the only one that answered. I said, what if the worst thing that happened to you is the best? We lost both of our parents on that day in an airplane accident. And he met his wife because of it. And so I'm grateful that I'm able to look at my life through a lens of not regret or not any of that, but as a tool to be able to teach other people what I've learned without being emotionally, psychologically affected with, I have this emotional burn, positive or negative, and see it more just as a tool to teach whoever's listening after me.
I love that, man. I love that. Dude, thank you so much for your time. I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you, Ken.
I'm really proud of you. Just watching your journey over the past couple of years and watching you make difficult decisions, to be able to shut things down, to be able to let go of good, to be able to have great, to be able to go, hey, I love my team and I love the impact and influence I'm having here. But man, God, you've given me the opportunity to have impact and influence over thousands across the country. And I'm telling you, some people don't understand the weight of that decision, or the call, or the purpose, or the why, if you will. And man, I just wanted to honor you for that, my friend.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me to impact today.
Man, you're welcome. Guys, thank you for joining us on another episode of As the Leader Grows. My good friend, Austin Cheviron. Guys, check him out on Instagram. Where's the best way for them to get you?
Our website, chevironcoaching.com, or our highest followings on Facebook. You just type Austin Cheviron and you'll be able to find me really easily. So
if you're watching this on YouTube, it's right behind him on his window right there. ChevironCoaching.com. Go check him out, guys. Again, thank you for joining us this week on As the Leader Grows. We'll see you next week with a brand new guest and a good friend. See ya.